God bless you, Patriots. You ready to slay some demons? Let's have some fun, guys. God bless you. It's good to see you. Feeling a lot better, guys, although it is kind of rainy here today. Traitors, treasonous traitors. Swap it around, Mel. Try that. You know, who was it asking me about Quigley earlier? Was that Marilyn in the Telegram chat? When it comes to that guy, I've heard people talk about him, but they say you should research Carroll Quigley, his father, or if he's not some kind of MK Ultra victim, they say maybe it's even -48 playing a second character type thing. It's getting interesting. All kinds of fun stuff out there. Let's do it, guys. Let's get into some news and take a look at what's going on. ICE has been busy again. This time, Worcester City and in New York again. Let's take a look.
Don't fucking touch me. Stop.
And that's another city official.
Let her go. Please let her go. Let her go. She hasn't done anything. She's traumatized. She's my constituent. She's my constituent.
Okay, well, you can go to the station when she gets her bail, okay?
She has done nothing. What are you doing? Why are you arresting her? Why are you arresting her?
Counsel, you cannot back up, man. You have to back away. Back away. You gotta back away. Back away. Get your hands off of us. Back up. Absolutely not.
Let her go.
Reminds me of a Q post I saw.
Jesus, bro.
About pushing the racial tension again before things heated up. You think that's kind of what they're doing? Indirectly. May just be indirectly. Could be directly. I don't know. They're keeping busy, though, but it's becoming a little bit more controversial every day, at least with the people on the left.
Back up. I'm on the ground.
Por favor, me está pidiendo No, my son, please.
Think they rounded up 26 in this raid. And that's New York City. So, weird. But, I don't know. That's, it's not a Republican thing. It's getting laid out on the Republicans because we're the ones cleaning up this mess that was dumped in the country. I don't know if you'd call it a mess as much as you'd call it like you said, Mel, treason, traitor, treasonous traitor, treason. Kind of like smuggle fungus. Remember that story yesterday with the Chinese people smuggling the fungus in the smuggle fungus. That was what I called the story. There's another big hack if you're with AT&T by any chance. 86 or 88 million of their records. They don't know according to these, but it's one of them. Does it really make a difference at this point? They got hacked bad. Records with decrypted social security numbers this time. Fun. 86 million leaked online. That's huge portion of the country, isn't it? Not cool. Not cool at all. So if you remember maybe a week or so back, the fertility clinic that got bombed in Palm Springs, they do have somebody arrested and in custody for that one.
Today, my office and the FBI are announcing the arrest of Daniel Park, a Washington State resident charged in a federal criminal complaint with Title 18, United States Code Section 2339A, providing and attempting to provide material support to a terrorist. The man who committed a suicide car bombing of the American Reproductive Centers in Palm Springs, California. The federal statute makes it unlawful to provide or attempt to provide material support or resources knowing or intending that they are to be used in preparation for or in carrying out a violation of certain offenses, including 18 U.S.C. 2332A, which is the use of a weapon of mass destruction.
At least that one's a little more serious than, whatever happened in Boulder. I mean, plenty of reason to call him a terrorist, but I mean, that other guy was throwing Molotov cocktails. So I don't know, but that's another big argument happening. We'll look at popular snacks such as Skittles, M&Ms, and Doritos, maybe even your, oh God, what are they called? Twinkies? Soft drinks like Mountain Dew could soon be labeled not recommended for human consumption in Texas. The bill passed unanimously in the state Senate before being forwarded to Governor Abbott's desk on the 1st, where it's now under review. State lawmaker Rep. Lacey Hull says HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. called her to voice his support for the bill, and we'll see about that.
All right, so Doritos, Twinkies, Fruit Loops, and Oreos. You eat that stuff?
Oh, Doritos and Oreos, I'm a big fan.
Well, no one would call
I
them
like
health
Doritos.
foods, but would you label them not recommended for human consumption?
Yeah, I heard that, or I read that headline. I did get a little worried. Apparently, that could actually happen according to a new law in Texas. If it is enacted, we need to bring Dr. McGeorge in with the reasoning behind the move and how it might affect us here in Michigan. What is up?
Well, Karen and Damon, the new Texas state law, just waiting to be signed by their governor, would change the requirements for food labeling. Specifically, the label would read, "Warning, this product contains an ingredient that is not recommended for human consumption by the appropriate authority in Australia, Canada, the European Union, or the United Kingdom." Now, the reason is that food additive standards outside of the U.S. are different, and many would actually argue much healthier. In the U.S., food additives like colorings, chemical preservatives, and
We've all seen that 100 times before, but I think, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is feeling the heat and looking to speed things up as far as what he's doing. And he put out this message today, or yesterday, I guess. I want to address those of you who have anxieties about the U.S. FDA's limited approval of a new mRNA COVID vaccine for high-risk populations. Moderna has agreed to a true placebo-controlled trial of the new vaccine, which is similar to the existing mRNA vaccine, but uses a smaller protein. And if you remember right, we announced yesterday Moderna did not do a placebo-controlled trial. The FDA will monitor and collect data throughout the trial for every adverse outcome, not just a table list of expected outcomes. The FDA will scrutinize every aspect of the trial. We will deliver on our promise to use gold standard science and common sense. So that's kind of nice to know. I think he's wanting to get that message out there to people that he is paying attention and staying busy. Federal judge appointed by Joe Biden, Joe Biden, has issued an order halting the deportation of the family members of the man accused in the firebomb attack in Boulder, Colorado the other day. The left, of course, has their interesting take, like always.
As more or better information at this point to kind of rush out with the conclusion within like 10 minutes after we all started hearing about this, that it's a targeted act of terror. It may very well be, but most of the time you try to be very careful about attaching that label to an attack until you have solid evidence that indicates a motive that would qualify as terrorism.
So the suspect was shouting "Free Palestine" and literally setting.
Yeah, Andy McCabe really doesn't have much room to talk about anything. And if the tables were turned, of course, and it was something to do with someone on the right, they would have flipped their shit by now. But either way, I don't know where it's going to go with this judge.
Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Thank you so much for joining us. I do want to detail some breaking news involving the terror attack in Boulder, Colorado on the Pearl Street Mall, as we're learning new information right now as a U.S. judge issues an order stopping the deportation of his family after his wife and 5 children were detained by ICE yesterday. I want to put up this here on Live Now from
What's the idiot that has 5 kids out throwing Molotov cocktails and shouting Free Palestine unless he was paid to do it, right? You know, stir up the shit type of thing. That's what I'm thinking. That's the only reason I could think of somebody with 5 children to be out shirtless throwing bottles of lit gasoline on people. Speaking of judges, Joel Kano, the guy that had hid the gang member in his home we had talked about like a month or so ago, has been banned for life from judicial duties after authorities made that arrest, of course. So that's a good start right there. WikiLeaks is putting out some odd things today, starting here with this old email from Hillary Clinton. Huma Abedin, please bring the hammer and the toy I like to use to Comet tonight. Also, if you have time, swing by the office and grab my inhaler. Nothing gets my heart going like sacrifice night. Lovely share there, huh? And then they're not too happy with Trump and this deal going on with Palantir, and we're going to look at that. Their post, Palantir is engaged in a major expansion of the American surveillance state. Spyware company Palantir is engaged in large-scale data collection on American citizens, having taken on multiple contracts across federal government agencies with large holdings of private information. In March, Trump signed the executive order that mandated all federal agencies to remove all barriers to intra and inter-agency sharing of unclassified records. At the same time, the administration is committing hundreds of millions of dollars to Palantir, a major intelligence contractor who CEO Alex Karp told an investor call in February that Palantir is here to disrupt and, when it's necessary, to scare our enemies and, on occasion, kill them. So we're going to look a little deeper into this story, and I'll put up a couple other people's thoughts on this. Here's a couple other articles. Trump taps Palantir to create master database on every American. Not a good look, right? WikiLeaks sounds the alarm on President Trump's Palantir contract. Starting, President Trump is building a Zionist surveillance state. And this is MJ Truth's thoughts. When WikiLeaks and MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, and Democrats are all in agreement and sounding the alarm that President Trump is creating a surveillance state to spy on U.S. citizens, you know something is definitely wrong with that picture. I wouldn't say wrong with the picture. I'd say there's probably something more to the picture. But we're going to turn to a couple videos for this, starting with the new Reese report.
In 2024, Palantir made a deal with Israel to harness Palantir's advanced technology in support of war-related missions. We see part of that technology today as the Lavender AI system, which assigns Palestinians a numerical score of 1 to 100 based on how likely they are of being an enemy. It has a 10% error rate, which has been acceptable for Israel and Palantir.
Getting wealthy off of killing Palestinians. Palantir kills Palestinians with their AI and technology.
Oh.
They're killing my family in Palestine.
Yeah. And, you know...
How do you sleep at night?
Well, if you... Do you want to hear my answer? So the primary source of death in Palestine is the fact that Hamas has realized that there are millions and millions of useful idiots that will... mostly terrorists.
So what do you think about the use of artificial intelligence or lavender by the IDF in identifying Hamas targets?
Look, I'm not, without going into all the I'm not on top of all the details of what's going on in Israel because my bias is to defer to Israel. It's not for us to second guess everything, and I believe that broadly the IDF gets to decide what it wants to do, and that they're broadly in the right.
And along with the Lavender system, there is the Habsora AI system, which means the gospel, which is an AI tool created to address the human issue of running out of targets. Habsora generates up to 100 targets per day. Both these AI systems use Palantir's advanced surveillance technology to track every person's phone records, social media, and movement patterns. Palantir's tech is used by the U.S. military and local police departments. It is the premier tool for mass surveillance. When running for his first term, Trump was saying he would implement a biometric tracking system.
We will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately.
You know, right now, what I can say is, before we finish this, is I'd rather it be in the hands of Trump than Israel. Israel's using it to systematically murder people, which I talked about over a year ago when people were still kind of pissy when you talked about it. And you can't let them just say, oh, we're just killing terrorists, because the amount of people they've wiped out over there, and even in that one picture you just saw alone, there's nothing left over there. And now they've blockaded all the ways in and out, and they're starving people out. They're systematically killing people. So I don't know what the deal with this is now, but we are in a military operation, and maybe Trump's just making sure our military is taking control of this shit, but I don't know. Let's keep looking here, and then we'll move on.
We will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel donated $1.25 million to that campaign, and he donated $15 million to J.D. Vance's 2022 Ohio Senate campaign. Palantir has significant ties to the CIA, starting in 2004, when the CIA's venture capital arm, In-Q-Tel, gave Palantir $2 million. Palantir's Gotham platform was developed by and for the CIA. Initially, the CIA was Palantir's sole customer for several years. Palantir is the CIA's surveillance tool. And now, Palantir is to create a system for the federal government that will monitor every American under an AI system, linking Social Security, the IRS, and immigration into one centralized system. It will be using its Gotham software, developed by the CIA, to track and condition human behavior. Most of yesterday's alternative media support this. For those who can still think clearly, this is as dystopian as it gets. But there are many fools who are content that the fascist society being put into place will not be woke. But don't be surprised if it comes with a carbon tax and an American version of a social credit system. Greg Reese reporting.
I will say this much. It's a dangerous weapon. If Trump wanted to use it,
the Reese report is now fully funded by my...
He could absolutely use it against people, and it's a tool made to wipe people out very quickly. It's searching for targets and stuff. I mean, but I know people are very worried about Trump getting involved in it, but I think it could work out to the advantage of getting it out of the hands of the Israelis, but it's just my thought on it. Other AI problems. According to the Telegraph, OpenAI software ignores explicit instruction to switch off. The ChatGPT maker's most capable model sabotages a shutdown mechanism. That's never good when it refuses to shut down. And Rogan's talking about study showed AI created a dead man's switch, leaving future notes to itself when prompted to shut itself down. It's already gotten smarter than us, and now it knows how to pick out targets. Can they control it even? That's the question. Is it already out of their hands by how we're talking here? Let's listen to this.
There was another study that was done where they found that AI was leaving notes for future versions of itself, and that it was attempting to, they were told, it was told to, after it was told to shut itself down, it started uploading itself to different places and leaving letters, leaving specific notes to itself, to future versions of itself.
Oh my God. It's like a human with like a dead man switch or something.
It's like being deceptive.
That's great.
It's being deceptive, and it's exhibiting self-preservation.
That is so scary.
It's so weird.
It's really weird.
Because we want to assume that it won't have any instincts.
Yep.
Right? We want to assume, well, AI will only do what you program it to. But that's not really true, because they don't necessarily really understand what it's doing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true at all. It can pull in all the information on the planet, basically. And, you know, I'm wondering if it's already gotten out of hand. And then you got to think about your enemies, or not even your enemies, but just other countries around the world and what they're doing with it. Is it going to get to the point where the world's going to have to work together on this issue before it decides to pull a Terminator on us and exterminate us? I know I put a lot of the Biden crap in the intro, and I'm going to push more later on, just some stuff I wanted to show you. But this post was like, what the hell? The more you know. Jill, the 21-year-old married babysitter, and Joe, the senator, are having an affair. Joe's wife discovers it in 1972, packs up the kids, and leaves. She is pursued by Joe and or Jill. Her car is bumped from behind, pushing her headlong into a truck, killing Naila and the baby Naomi. Joe spent years blaming a drunk driver for his wife and daughter's death. Jill's ex claims they married in 1970. Jill and Joe claim they met on a blind date in 1975 and then married in 1977. There are multiple cover stories, including her ex-husband coming out claiming that Jill and Joe had an affair, but dating it to after Naila died. Wow. Talk about your stories, huh? You learn something new every day. Did Joe Biden murder his first wife? What the actual hell? And that was posted by Captain Kyle. He must have found that somewhere. That's crazy, isn't it? Some wild shit. We'll look into that more as we go along. That's kind of stuff you're going to learn. A fight broke out in Flint, Michigan at a city council meeting, and it looked wild enough worth showing you.
Mid-Michigan Now starts with breaking news.
We begin with breaking news tonight. A physical fight happened at Flint City Council. You are looking at video from inside council chambers where around 7:50 this evening. That's where that fight happened, in the front of the room. City Council had just gotten through public comments, and they were...
I got to admit, that City Council meeting almost, to me, looked worse than the stampede that happened in Bangalore in India, where at least 11 people were killed after the India's cricket celebrations. Somehow, I don't know which looked worse. Talk about a horrible way to go. It's still, I mean, it never looked like it got that bad, but apparently it did. Wild. I would not want to get caught in one of those stampedes. I've seen some of those videos before. Trump spent some time on the phone with Vladimir Putin today. He posted this afterwards, spent time with Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. If I was living in Ukraine right now, you'd be sitting on pins and needles, right? Anytime now, it's like, when's he gonna strike? I stated to President Putin and Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this, I believe that we were in agreement, but Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussion with Iran, that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow walking their decision. Yeah, I still think we control Iran, but it's going to be wild to see. I have a feeling Putin's going to do some kind of major attack on Kiev or the capital. I don't know. I would say that Zelensky's a walking target.
Well, we have some breaking news. President Trump announcing he has just spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He wrote this on Truth Social. I just finished speaking by telephone with President.
Yeah, don't make you hear that again, but I will let you hear what Putin said.
It was a deliberate strike, and it only confirms our suspicions that the illegitimate regime in Kiev that came to power through a coup is now being reborn as a terrorist organization, and its sponsors become supporters of terrorism. Recently, the Ukrainian government and their allies dreamt of inflicting a strategic defeat on Russia on the battlefield. Now they're withdrawing from the battle zone, fleeing, and now the Kiev regime is trying to resort to terrorist attacks. At the same time, they're asking for a ceasefire. They're asking for top-level meetings. But how can we organize?
So you got to look at one of two scenarios. Either one, the globalists are helping Ukraine with these attacks, the bridge attack, the train attack, all that stuff. There was actually a post about that train attack I wanted to share. It was kind of interesting. If I could find it, the driver did something that saved a lot of lives, I guess. Here it is. That train that was struck in Russia. Pavel Mishin, a local locomotive driver, sacrificed and lost his life to save the lives of his passengers. There was, how many people on there? 388, I think. I can find a number. Yeah, 388 people were on that train that they struck. Luckily, they only killed 7, I guess, but he did what he could to slow it down when he saw the explosive on the track, I think is what they said. Sad deal. So it's either that's the globalists or it's, a setup to get further along in this movie we're watching. Zelensky himself, his chief of staff at least, said that he had called for fresh U.S. sanctions on Russia and more air defense systems for Ukraine. Yeah, that's going to happen. Maybe we'll just get those to you real quick before Putin strikes. I'm sure Rubio will get right on that. There's a picture of the bridge they struck, or that the CIA struck. People are still debating, sadly. And Governor Hobbs in Arizona vetoed a bill preventing Chinese land purchases near Arizona's military bases, saying it would be ineffective at counter-espionage. And the company GNC's in a little bit of trouble, too.
This actually came up on our radar because we had someone advise us to look into GNC's product offerings. They said to us that they were purchasing a lot of their products from China. And as we started our investigation into that, we actually discovered that the entire company was owned by China. They were purchased in 2020 by a firm called Harbin Pharmaceuticals, which is wholly owned by the Chinese Communist Party. And this is very concerning to us because ultimately GNC doesn't own this property on our military installations. They operate from leased property through the military exchange concession contracts arrangements that work on our bases. They allow private entities to operate on our bases to better serve our.
So I think what he's kind of saying there is that the land, if they want to run companies on the land here in America, they still have to work with the Chinese government, which just doesn't go so well for how we would prefer to do things over here. All right, moving along here, guys. Let's see where we're at. So I had a couple things I wanted to look at. Look at this real quick. Tom Homan was responding to the left getting mad about the guy being
for their
up
release.
The
family of Solomon have been detained by ICE and their visas revoked. They could be deported as soon as tonight. Seems like an obvious and correct move, but not everyone thinks so, Tom. Watch this.
If you have a cooperative family that's providing information about your attacker, you might want to really work with them and not threaten their cooperative stance by putting them in custody right away. You can always do that later if their immigration status is in doubt. It's possible that the family could actually provide information that you might need at trial. By putting them in custody, you definitely take the chance that they are no longer in a position to cooperate.
Tom, Andrew McCabe keeps lying.
Andrew McCabe is an embarrassment to the FBI. He's an embarrassment to the badge he carried. Bottom line is, did he take an oath to enforce laws? Because so didn't ICE. ICE, as you said earlier, Laura, ICE is enforcing the laws enacted by Congress, laws that they get obligated and funded to enforce. ICE isn't making this stuff up. They're enforcing the laws or holding their oath. This is what they're supposed to do. If you're in the country legally, you got a problem, and we're looking for you. We're going to prioritize a bad guy before we go to the other guy, but doesn't mean the other guy is off the table. We're enforcing immigration laws. That's what the American people voted for. That's why President Trump is in the White House, because that's what the American people wanted, and we're going to keep President Trump's promise to the American people.
You think Tom Homan central casting? Didn't Trump call him central casting? Wouldn't that be wild, huh? So Greta Thunberg seems to be just wandering around the ocean, heading to Gaza on a raft or some shit like that. And they got a little spooked by a drone flying over their head. This video is weird.
Hello everyone, we are reporting here from the Madeleine. We are right now at 80 kilometers from Greek lands and 68 kilometers from Greek territorial borders. What happened is that we just spotted a drone, and we confirmed it is a drone, but we just lost visual with it. It could have either turned back or turned off the lights. We have our safety procedures here, and it demands us to go get all of our life jackets. We prepare to alert level at the maximum, especially if it's approaching us, and we sound the alarm for you. Now we count on all of you to share what's going on here and to please let the world know that we are 80 kilometers from Greece, and we need your help. Please send this distress signal to everyone. We need your support right now.
I bet they're still floating around out there right this minute. I don't know. There's a drone. Somebody put up the flares, right? I'll call my buddy in Greece. Hey, Greta Thunberg might be headed your way. She's floating around the ocean somewhere. I think she said she was headed to Hamas, so I don't know what she's going to do there. It'll be interesting. Interesting to see. Yes, how dare we, Chris? I know. I went there. I totally went there. What was I thinking? All right. Moving forward, the Patriot Street Fighter put out a short message I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys, and we'll talk about it and move on. I got some other really cool stuff to look at tonight, and we'll debate the order we'll do that. So glad you're all here. Let's listen to this. It's like 15 minutes. Something 10-15 minutes, and then we'll move forward.
Hi, I'm Scott McKay. Most of you know me from either the radio show The Tipping Point or the Patriot Street Fighter broadcast, or podcast, I should say. I'm going to throw a little information many of you probably heard a number of times. I understand that, but there are folks who have not. And now that we are moving into this space in a country where there's massive changes taking place on so many levels, there's a consciousness shift, there's a cultural shift now that has been perpetuated by the change of the guard. And we've got people all around the country walking around talking about MAHA, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and his mission to make America healthy again has begun to, in my opinion, align perfectly with what we started here a couple of years ago. And that is making America healthy again. In many ways, it's not just the food supply or anything else going on in our external environment. It's also our, in-home environment, all the things that we have continued to do to ourselves, maybe to no fault of our own because of a lack of knowledge of what's really going on in our home environment, because of the production style capacity or dishonesty in the consumer products manufacturing industry. Many of you are coming to learn through the exposure of MAHA and RFK Jr.'s post at Health and Human Services, starting to show you what the big conglomerates, corporate conglomerates, production conglomerates have been inflicting on us, inflicting on humanity, specifically to the highest degree here in the United States, from that realm of production. And that is this. It is that when you look at all the companies that are producing or manufacturing our home consumer products and other things, even in food, nutrition industry, what we've come to learn is that they have been lacing everything you can imagine, from laundry detergents to toothpaste to shampoo to cleaning products to, I could go on, it's endless, whatever you see in your house in the cupboards, lacing these products with neurotoxins, toxins, carcinogens, poisons. And this is all verifiable, provable information. All you have to do is read their own white papers. These manufacturers have to comply with certain regulations according to the FDA and other entities where they've got to actually publish their science and research. The problem we have is we don't go investigate it. We just take for face value what they say on commercials, which is basically a BS machine that tells you all these things about their products that aren't necessarily true, unless you're Big Pharma giving you a list of contraindications at the end of a commercial that tells you all the horrible things that can happen if you take their new drug. It's crazy, but people will take it anyways. It's nuts. Again, we all have some responsibility because we've done the same thing in many respects. I myself, having spent most of my life, adult life in the wellness industry, coming from the national competitive bodybuilding stage, where my mind and my research and science is heavily vested in the information of the time of what's healthy for us, what's not. And there I was, post my competitive years in the wellness industry, involved in a couple of startup companies. Some of them, I guess maybe all of them, almost all of them were health.
Just to expand on his message a little bit, I think MJ Truth had put out a message about getting messages through to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., perhaps. So the good thing is that it sounds like the people in the Trump administration pay a lot of attention to what you're doing, or what you're saying, what your opinions are. And that's why it's good to have your opinions and speak about them loudly. Who needs better glasses, me or Scott? He had a head thing on, didn't he? I know, everybody debates about all these guys, whether they're the real deal or something else. Everybody I show here, I really wouldn't play if I thought something about them was off. Even if they are off, I guess at times they put out good messages. I don't know. What he's saying, short, is that they are working hard on making this country a little bit healthier. So I won't make you listen through to the whole message, but I think you get the point. We've been talking a lot about 9/11 again lately, and I've never heard this theory before, so I wanted to look at it together for a minute. I know people debate whether there were even any airplanes at all, but this particular debate talks about whether or not there was a fifth airplane that day, which I've never heard. So I thought we would take a quick look at it together, see what it's about. If it's not interesting, we'll move on.
I definitely think Flight 23 was the fifth plane.
There's a good chance that somebody was plotting to try to use our airplane as a weapon of mass destruction.
Flight 23 was called back, made a shocking discovery.
The first thing they asked me was why the floor hatches were open on the airplane. They had to be opened after everyone had gone off the aircraft.
Something was going on there that should not have been going on.
The FBI was concerned enough to take the crew to a lineup.
The FBI asked us if we could identify any of the people that were behind the window.
There's very little doubt in my mind that United 23 was a fifth airplane.
All right, I gotta stop for copyright purposes. You can watch the rest of that at TMZ Studios on YouTube. The thing is, people are talking about it a lot lately. They've been sharing pictures of the plane wreck from when a plane hit the Empire State Building and pretty much looked like it bounced off the building. I imagine it was going a bit slower, but thinking about that day, it wouldn't surprise me though if there was a fifth plane. Just I don't know the way I think I've heard this story once before, but Flight 23. I mean, what were the other flights that day? Flight 11, flight. I don't remember, but it's kind of wild. What's your theories on that? Do you think there were planes that day? I've even heard some of our Patriot people we listen to say different things about it, that there were no planes, there were planes, but they were loaded with explosives. Other people were saying yesterday the pilots were no way trained enough for this kind of a mission. Anyway, we're going to move on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a portion of this video because it's also on YouTube, and I want you to add this person on YouTube. And even though this person has way more followers than me, I'm just trying to promote this person coming back to YouTube, and that person's Michael Jaco, who we've been watching on Rumble for a long time, but he's finally back on YouTube. So we're going to watch a part of this. I would hope you'd watch the rest over there and add his channel. He did an interview with James Files, who claimed to have shot Kennedy, and this is supposed to be like James Files' last interview, I think, according to this. So I don't know. Let's take a look at it, and we'll talk about it.
Jim Scott and James Files with us once again. James is, getting close to the point where there's not much he can share going forward, unfortunately. We've tried to get President Trump to give him a pardon. So we're gonna try and get as much information as we can from James that he wants to reveal, that he can reveal at this point. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And what have you guys been up to?
And thank you for having us. Well, I've been staying either in bed, in my wheelchair, or at the doctor's office, one or the other. The other day, I had an appointment at the hospital. I went in for a CAT scan. And they're monitoring my heart and they're keeping track of it because I got a real bad leaky valve, and they cannot fix it. And normally they would go in through the groin and fix it that way, but they can't because my stomach has moved 3/4 of the way up through the diaphragm into my chest. The esophagus is laying against that, and it's got the passageway blocked, so they've got to open my chest up. And about 12 doctors altogether have agreed that I would not survive the operation. So they sent me home and told me, okay, make the best of it that you can. And I left.
Good man.
Well, I've been.
Sorry, guys.
My wife, she's been doing everything from riding the lawnmower and cutting the grass to cooking and gardening and flowers and you name it. She does it, plus taking care of me, cooking for me, bringing it to my bed, making sure I got plenty of water to drink, everything. So I'm pretty well confined. So what have you been?
Sorry to hear that, but yeah, we appreciate you coming on and sharing.
Well, I'm going to try and last the whole program.
Jim, how about you?
If I don't.
Go ahead, James. Finish.
No, I just finished.
You go, James.
Asking Jim what he's been up to, because I haven't been talking to people the last couple of weeks over the phone.
As some of your audience knows, I'm a safety director for a helicopter company. I work full time for High Voltage Aviation. We just finished a big job for American Electric Power. We leased a H-60 because our little Blackbird, little birds, the MD-500s won't lift more than about 1,800 pounds. And we were moving some 8,700 pound towers for AEP. It was an old line, the first transmission line into Southwest Virginia, built in between 1911 and 1914. And we demolished that 14-mile line that ran from the Billsby Dam up through Ivanhoe and out to about Wytheville, and rolled up 84 miles of copper. It was set of 6 circuit or 6 phases of copper, old original copper wire. We had thousands and thousands of pounds of copper, and we demolished the towers, moved 97 of those towers with the Black Hawk that we leased from Firehawk out in Boise, Idaho. We leased it for Blackhawks are running $30,000 a day right now. So it cost us over $200,000 to lease that helicopter for a week, and we moved 97 towers in 1 week. So that's another project in the bag. We made a lot of money, and very safe, no incidents or anything like that to speak of, and no injuries, especially. That's the most important thing. And moving on to the next project with helicopters right now. So.
Nice.
Anyway, I've been super busy with my regular job, but it's good to see you, Jim. We do these shows and we don't get to see each other. I've been to their house a few times and actually spent the night there with them a few times, but but he lives about 10 hours from me, so I can't visit as often as I want to. But it's really good to be on here again and to see him still kicking. I know he's been in rough shape for a couple of years. After we first met, I found out that he was having trouble breathing, and my father had died of COPD, and I overnighted him on an oxygen machine, and I think that helped him a little bit. But anyway, it's good to see him still kicking.
Yeah. I had it real bad, and I couldn't hardly breathe, and Jim overnighted it to me. The machine weighs about 35 pounds. He overnighted it, was it $550 or something for postage, and it saved my life. It kept me going. But I don't smoke. I don't drink, and I stopped drinking and smoking in '69, and I haven't touched it since. And I got my ribs busted on both sides. My chest was caved down. I had an accident in Eastern Europe. I got blown off a cliff by a Hind 24 helicopter, and I was in pretty bad shape. Took me 6 months to get back on my feet again.
That's what you get when you go behind the Iron Curtain to put the hurting on somebody.
Yeah, well, there was KGB was a little ticked off at me over that one. I drove the car up a mountain and down the side of it in the snow and hit a small tree, got out and ran along and got up to the edge of the cliff and nowhere to go. And so I tried to do a duel with a Hind 24 using a carbine rifle and a 9mm pistol. They came out the winner. I came out the loser. Anyway, that's a long time ago. And as you noticed before, I put my dentures in. All my teeth got knocked out in '69. Was a rough year for me. We got overrun on Firebase Brandyville, and I got hit in the mouth with a stock of an SKS, and lost all my teeth. I only had a few left, and Shackley came up from Phoenix in the Operation Phoenix program to where I was at in the hospital, and he told him take the last few teeth out. That way there's no identifying marks. I got no tattoos, nothing to identify me. And it was a rough year. had a lot happen in '69.
Jim, when you were working for the agency in Operation Phoenix, was Ted Shackley your controller, or was it still David Atlee Phillips?
Well, I don't know who was my controller at that point. I just got assignments handed down to me from the agency, and I worked outside the military, but I was stationed on a military base with a squad of mercenaries, and we did the things that the American Army was not allowed to do. Because
how big
most of us...
Go ahead.
Pardon?
How big was the mercenary force that you were with there for, there was
only about 30 of us, a small team, about 30 of us. And I worked 5 or 6 guys at a time. And we went into Laos, we went into Cambodia. We did the things that where American troops wasn't allowed, which meant we wore no dog tags or anything like that. And we had no no identification. And we went into Cambodia and we blew up a couple of their ships and put them down the channel so they couldn't get any supplies in or out. They were supplying the North Vietnamese at that time.
Hey, tell them, members of your audience know that I'm a weapons guy, but tell them the story real quick about your 10 gauge. Describe it and then explain how you got it and what you used it for. I think that's
the guy was going home. He had his Greener 10 gauge, and he was going home. He was his time was up, and I gave him $100 for it, and it's probably the best $100 ever spent because we'd be in elephant grass and we'd be going through it, and as I'd see the barrel of an SKS come through there, and right away I knew that the NVA was behind the other end of it, so I would fall backwards as I was cutting loose with both barrels, and then I'd go to the AK-47 I carried.
So describe
close hand-to-hand combat was good for that.
Yeah, describe how it was cut down though. That's what I find really fascinating.
We had the barrel cut down. The stock was cut down to a pistol grip, and it had a pretty good kick to it.
What kind of shot did you have in it?
I use double up.
Yeah. So can you imagine, Michael, a green or 10 gauge side by side, 12-inch barrels sawed off right at the end of the wooden stock, and then the butt stock sawed off so it's a pistol grip, and he had like a D-ring on it, and it hung around his neck. And whenever he bumped into somebody at night or in the elephant grass, he would just raise that thing and give them both barrels of 10 gauge double aught buckshot. That would start the engagement. I think that's a fascinating thing. I actually have.
You had to be ready for whatever happened. If you stopped to think about it, you was dead. You didn't stop and think when using the fuel. You automatically reacted. That's what we was trained for. It was reaction. And reaction time cuts out the thinking time.
So this is an interesting time frame where we normally think of the CIA as gathering intelligence, but here they're involved in actual taking out the enemy, having special teams to take out the enemy.
Yes, and the CIA, they could put a 10,000 man army on the ground in no time and overnight.
Wow.
We used to be called mercenaries, and then they started calling them contractors.
Yep.
Because mercenary became a bad name. And I was working in the Central Hemisphere, which is Central America. And they brought in Oliver North, and they sent me back in 79, I believe, it was 78. They sent me back to Southeast Asia, even though we was out of Vietnam, but China was getting ready to invade Vietnam. And they sent me back over there for intelligence gathering and told me not to start a fight with anybody. And I figured I'm not about to when I'm outnumbered 10 million to 1. So I crawled around the jungle for 90 days and made pictures of it and everything else and forwarded it on to Langley. I would spend 3 days in and 2 days back on the frigate that I was working off of in the South China Sea there. And my 90 days was up. I was ready to come home. They told me, "No, you're on standby there for another 90 days." And I said, "What for?" And they said, "We don't know how the Chinese prisoners are being counted." Because if you remember, China had a fiasco. They lost over 50,000 men in just a week or so. Not because they couldn't fight, but the ammunition was moldy. The weapons were rusty. I mean, they had bad weapons to fight with. And so like I asked them, I said, "Who in the hell cares how they're treated?" They wanted pictures of it, so I crawled around the jungle for another 90 days. I got pictures and sent them back in and got back. But there's a lot of things that I didn't tell Pamela that I didn't put in the book. Excuse me. Because everything I told her she wanted to write down and put it in the book and names and stuff. And I said, no. That was just like with JFK and Dallas down there. I have never testified against anybody. I've never given anybody up. I've been tortured and everything I've said. I've been tortured about 3 times altogether. And the FBI was one of the worst ones that got me, wanting to get the ledger from me that belonged to Charles Nicoletti. It had over 60 murders in it in Chicago along these gangland killings. And they left me in a garbage dump, stripped naked. My hands was duct taped behind my back. My legs were still duct taped together. Elderly man and woman come out to the garbage dump to throw their stuff away that morning, and they called the Elmhurst police and told them that they had a body out there in the garbage dump. So they sent a squad out there, and I was still a breath of life left in me. And they took me to the hospital, and finally I wrote a note, and I got them to call my wife at that time, which was the previous wife, not Pamela, and to get my lieutenant for me, Gorilla, and he come there and he carried me out of the hospital. They didn't want me to leave, but he picked me up and he carried me out, and he said, "You people can't protect him here." He said, "But I can protect him where I'm taking him." So I had a couple of gun cars at the end of the streets, and I had one parked in the driveway. Gorilla sat in my house for a week with a Remington Model 870. They said law enforcement only on it. And then the Broadview police came by and they said, "You need any help? We got a couple of cops we can spare. You need them?" I said, "I don't need them, but thank you anyway." And so down went from there. but that's probably one of the worst sessions I had. But from there, but back to Dallas. I went to the Murchison party the night before the assassination. And I went there for one reason, to watch over Sam and I wanted to see a party there, look at somebody, identify them, because they wanted this party to disappear forever. Because he'd been talking to the FBI. And so that's the only reason I was at the Murchison party, but I've seen a lot of the people there. And so long story, but I didn't put none of that in the book because, like I say, I didn't know who was alive, who was dead. I'm figuring right now everybody at the party is dead by now. And the only ones alive that I know of that was at the assassination that day is myself and Tosh Pomley and the other party. I won't use his name. He's still alive. He's in living in Florida right now. But the reason I named Tosh Pomley is because Tosh Pomley testified before Congress 5 or 6 times, so it's well known. He was an airplane pilot. He was a pretty good pilot, too. He wasn't as good as Barry Sills, but he was pretty good. And another thing, too, with Sam Giancana, most of us there in the Chicago mob, like half a dozen of us was pretty well involved in the assassination of Kennedy. A lot of people believe that Butch Blassie killed Sam Giancana, but he didn't. Johnny Roselli did. And Sam Blassie went missing. Not Sam, but Butch Blassie went missing. And the only thing they found of him, and they pulled the ashes out of the incinerator in the FBI. Ones I'm talking about, they pulled the ashes out. They found the rims, Butch's glasses that he wore. It was the only thing they found in the incinerator was the glasses. But his body, as far as I know, was never found. Ashes were scattered everywhere.
Speaking of that, Jimmy,
his ashes scattered all over Detroit.
Speaking of that, do you want to make a general comment about Jimmy Hoffa's body?
Well, Jimmy Hoffa was killed and his body went into an incinerator, and I believe the town was, not sure, I could be mistaken, but I believe it was Broadview, Michigan, which is not far from Detroit, which is a suburban area. And the body went in the incinerator there. And the only thing that was taken from Hoffa was his wristwatch, his ring, and his wallet. And that was given to his stepson.
Who was it that made the call for him to be executed, do you think?
The government. Because they were scared of Jimmy Hoffa. They were scared he might run for president. Because Jimmy Hoffa had threatened the government. You probably remember this when they had him up for the hearings. And he told me, he says, you mess with me. He says, you can't mess with me. He said, I'll shut this country down. They didn't believe him. And he called the Teamster strike. And if you remember, when the Teamster strike came on, wherever them trucks were at, they stopped rolling. They went off the side of the road and they parked.
Wow.
And that was it. Jimmy Hoffa wound up going to prison. And on the way to prison, semis were lined up on both sides of the highway, blowing the horns at him. People were on the overpasses with signs waving, good luck, Jimmy. Hey, we'll see you when you get out, and everything, because he was a hero among the working people.
Hey, Jim, tell him the story about when you were at Statesville when they were looking for Jimmy's body, Jimmy Hoffa's body, and you made
they were looking for his body. The FBI was. And everybody was, they're going to find it this time. They got a good lead on it. And I said, well, I'll give you guys 100 to 1 odds. And I said, I got the money to cover it. I said, don't worry about it. So we're going to have cash money right there in Stateville. But we was betting commissary. I had bags of coffee, cases of coffee in my cell, cases of pop stacked all the way up the ceiling in the cell, all kind of nuts and stuff. You name it. I had like probably $1,000 for the commissary in the cell. And the officers told me, said, you got to spread that stuff out amongst the inmates. He said, get them to hold it for you. He says, you can't have all this in your cell. But my cell was packed full of stuff from the commissary. But they never found his body. And when they dug up the horse barn, they didn't find nobody. Everybody that got in trouble was telling them, I know where Jimmy Hoffa's body is. He's trying to make a deal to get out of prison. But Jimmy Hoffa never turned up, and they will never find the body of him. Because it was burned up, became ashes.
Now, from
one of the other, I would like to change over, go back to Dallas for a minute.
Okay.
The school book depository there. They got the museum up on the 5th or 6th floor, whatever it is. And they claim that Oswald built this blind there to shoot from on Elm Street with these boxes of books. Well, Oswald didn't build it. And they put that there and built it to make it look good, I guess, because Oswald was hanging out the window they claimed shooting, which wasn't Oswald. And a couple of people, there was government people on the ground, was building the story up to bury Oswald, because they wanted to make Oswald look guilty. And so they claimed they seen Oswald, they seen the rifle, and the guy was hanging out the window. And from where they was at, and Jim has been there in this museum, and from back in the middle of the room where a shooter shoots from cover, you couldn't even see him down Elm Street. You had to be at the window to shoot. So it was all a lie.
Yeah, that's museum. That museum to this day, I believe, if you could find the funding for it, I talked to one of the managers there and just asked him some general questions. And they said before COVID, they were making something like $6 million a year or something like that to cover and it's a PSYOP to cover the salaries of the people that work there. They actually asked, my understanding is they asked Robert Groden once if he would come in and run it, but they said that he had to support the Lee Harvey Oswald, 3 shots from behind. He couldn't talk about a second shooter, and he had to basically, shut up about that stuff. He got offered that job for a pretty high salary. My understanding, that's what I've heard him say, and others at the Lancer convention that was in 23 when James and I were there. And to his credit, Robert declined. And Robert Groden is recently published.
What happened? We pulled up there where Tipper was shot. What did Groden do?
Yeah, he was sitting in the little, kind of like a wheelchair, sort of. And one of the guys that was with us, Eric Hall, pointed to Robert, pointed at Jimmy, and here comes this big $100,000 camera filming the documentary that we're doing about Jim. And he said, James Files is going to get me in trouble. And he got up and went over to his little gray minivan that has the license plate is like Texas School Book Depository, I guess something like this, TS BD or something like that. And he got in his little minivan and sat there until we left. But he was there telling people that, wanted to hear the story about the murder of J.D. Tibbet, the official story, about what was going on. But when he saw James coming, he said, I heard him say, he said, this guy's going to get me in trouble. And he went and sat in his car while we were there, and then he left. And, then we left, and I guess he went back out and got his little seat and was telling people visiting the site, what's going on. And he's, he's the guy that.
Damn, since everyone's tuning out, I'm going to pause for a minute. I was going to say some things for everybody left. God, people, I'm hoping you're all turning over to Jaco's YouTube channel, which he got back. God bless him. I was thinking about this stuff lately, and people are still debating the whole, not the black pill stuff, but New World Order stuff. And I was thinking, even if we had a regular election that didn't have a Trump and Hillary or what seemed like a regular election to us, the world's really changing. Technology's moving along fast. It's a lot of stuff that kind of has to be gotten a good hold on. And I don't know. I think Trump's doing a pretty good job. Could definitely be worse. Am I right? Reading between the lines, it's been hard for everybody the past 10 years. And in a lot of ways, all these experiences we go through, they make your heart a little bit harder, but you can use those experiences to still become a softer person in how you treat people, you know. Got to keep the positivity going no matter what happens. We got a good crew here, don't we, guys? 2020 must be fixed to move forward. It will be. Obama and Biden, they'll be held responsible for it. It'll be fixed. They'll announce what really happened and who really won, and it's always been the plan that Biden and Obama would get arrested publicly for that. So I did see a good post today pointing out that Obama might be the first arrest. I don't know if you'd say first arrest. Some people considered the whole Epstein thing a first arrest, but this post connected a few things from these 3 different Q posts. First arrest, and then connected all these different things. It's interesting. I got to admit, people find all kinds of different ways to connect these puzzles, from just the time stamps to all these other cool ways. But what lately I just don't even find myself caring about all this stuff as much. I mean, I do, and I'm looking forward to where we're headed in the future and these humanitarian type projects, but either way, we're in for the end of this ride. You can't get off this ride, right? Doesn't matter how bad you want off the ride. You're on the ride, and you've got to ride all the way to the end of the coaster. There's no jumping off ship now. And so we're all going to be okay. Things are going to look bad. I really think they're going to continue to appear to go downhill from here. They're going to probably make it look like COVID's come back. And there's actually some more proof of that. I should show you while I'm at it. Remember those ships that showed up back during the COVID lockdowns, the hospital ships? The 1,000 bed hospital ship USNS Comfort just showed up again. Same ship they deployed after COVID broke out. Disaster response, mass trauma, emergency containment. What do they know that we don't know? It's a big damn ship. It's not so much what do they know that we don't know. It's probably more like, what are they stirring up that we don't know? So I imagine that stuff's going to happen. I imagine there'll be some stuff going on with Trump and the international stuff, Israel, India, Russia. It's gonna heat up probably. Russia's definitely going to heat up. I would not, I mean, if I were living in Ukraine right now, I think I'd be fleeing unless they know something that we don't, since the one place that seems to get censored from everything American is Russia. I don't know. It did not say where that ship popped up, but that's a good question. The USNS Comfort and Mercy. Yeah, that's right, Rebecca. I remember both of those popping up, but you remember what they were for, right? What they were said that they were for. The children they were rescuing, remember? So maybe that's a good sign, guys. I know there's a lot of back and forth about Trump's ultimate to do, but I trust what's going on right now. The Palantir stuff, I have a feeling we really can't even begin to understand the AI stuff. I don't know who needs to be in control of it, but I know somebody needs to be in control of it, and certainly not Israel, because they're a bunch of murderous asshats, sadly. Anyway, it is all about the children. You guys don't seem to be wholly interested in Michael Jaco. His channel is here on YouTube now, so again, I urge you guys to add him. See if I have. There's some other stuff I had to look at tonight. What do you guys think about the Kennedy assassination and James Files? I've only seen his story once. It's somewhere on YouTube. It's a long story. I don't know when he got out of prison. He was up in Chicago for a long time. I'm pretty sure he's the one that said he took the final shot that killed Kennedy, and now he's doing that interview with Michael Jaco. So, there's another little video I wanted to watch. Maybe it'll be a little more interesting. I don't know. We'll just bounce back and forth, see what we got here. This one might be interesting. We'll find out either way. You've been watching his YouTube. Yeah, he announced, I remember him announcing like a week or two ago that right before his son and that stuff happened, that he was back, or that he had got his YouTube channel back, and I had kind of forgotten about it, and he had taken some days off, and but that's what we do here. It's about connecting the Patriot community, so I just want to remind people, because I know a lot of people here are sort of YouTube only people. You're not on Rumble and Telegram and stuff, so that gives you a way to watch Michael Jaco now on YouTube. He got his channel back, and that's a good sign that people like him are getting their channels back. That's a good question, Karen. If he took the final shot, why isn't he in jail? He was in jail for a long time for other stuff. I want to say he was a mob hitman or some shit. But his story was pretty detailed. I think he knew all about the plot. Did he actually take a shot? And was it the final shot? I don't know, you know. Oh, did you, Vance? I appreciate that. The only reason I don't show Jaco much is because that one day Jaco showed a video of a clip of me showing a clip of Juan, so he didn't really want anyone to do that with his show particularly. So, plus, like I said, it's like a 2-hour interview anyway, but it's here on YouTube. There are good patriots here on YouTube, guys. You got Nino and you got Jaco, and Right Side Blonde is here. Space Shot 76 is back on YouTube. So, and Jenny and Tracy, the American Revival podcast, is on here as Jay Jareed. So, add your Patriot channels, guys. And if you are YouTuber or Rumblers or Telegrammers, if you go to my channel description, I try and put all the different channels I source from and look at and go to, so you guys can look at that stuff too, or add those channels, and I learn channels from you guys and stuff too, so it's pretty cool. I notice this channel, people have been sharing it, my videos on Telegram a lot lately. Doesn't seem to be getting much of a positive review. It just seems like people kind of glance over it. And I understand, because if you are part of the Telegram crowd, you're already looking at this stuff all day anyway, you know. So, let's take a look at this. Music. Always music. How you doing, David? Good to see you. Prayers, man. Hope you get well. Prayers for Kim. I hope she's doing all right. It's hard to understand God's timing, but everything on this planet is connected. Every object, every person.
I refer to them as so-called Jews because I know what they are, and I can prove that. The Eastern European Jews, who form 92% of the world's population of those people who call themselves Jews, were originally Khazars. They were a warlike tribe that lived deep in the heart of Asia. And they were so warlike that even the Asiatics drove them out of Asia into Eastern Europe. And to reduce this so you don't get too confused about the history of Eastern Europe, they set up this big Khazar kingdom, 800,000 square miles. Only there was no Russia, there were no other countries, and the Khazar kingdom was the biggest country in all Europe. So big and so powerful that when the other monarchs wanted to go to war, the Khazars would loan them 40,000 soldiers. That's how big and powerful they were. Now, they were phallic worshippers. It was their religion, the way it was the religion of many other pagans or barbarians elsewhere in the world. Now, the king became so disgusted with the degeneracy of his kingdom that he decided to adopt a so-called monotheistic faith, either Christianity, Islam, the Muslim faith, or what is known today as Judaism, really Talmudism. So, like spinning a top, he said, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and he picked out so-called Judaism. And
real fast, I'll tell you guys where I found this video. I wanted to show you what I came across today. There was this post, and that green thing in the middle there, you can, use your phone cameras on. It took me to this website. It's link-tube.com/Operation Q. This website is amazing. Let's see if I can just show you what they've got there. It was definitely worth the time. Don't run across new stuff often, but I like to show it when I do. This website has all kinds of great stuff. Aside from connecting, why can I never scroll down on this? If you scroll down, it's got all kinds of documentaries. It's got the Q maps. It's got a starter guide. It's got the story of the Lincoln Colony Druze minority bloodline. It's got the story of Vincent Fusca. It's got the story of Joe Biden's shadow presidency. It's got the story of Kamala Harris's former corrupt prosecution days. It's got Gitmo updates, arrests, indictments, executions, clones, doubles, reptilians, revelations, Nasara, Looking Glass, geoengineering, Freemason stuff. All kinds of stuff about the Earth, the Black Nobility, the Illuminati, the Nazi world order, the truth about the Q shaman, Big Mike Obama, what's adrenochrome, what is the loosh? Stop feeding dark dimensional entities your negative energy. I mean, this, I'm telling you guys, this website is packed, and these links take you to amazing things and amazing movies too. You can click right on movies. You got Sound of Freedom, Police State, Out of Babylon by David Lester Straight, of course, 2000 Mules, Plandemic 3, Plandemic 2, Tartaria, Lost in Time. So check out the website. It's worth your time. And I should move that so you can find it again. That's the link up there in the top left corner. Or you can use your camera phone and click on that little thing. I don't, I'm sure it's been there since that post went up. Maybe not. I don't know where it came from, but somebody's done some great work putting stuff together there, and I highly recommend you spend some time there. Okay, let's go back and finish this video, and we'll move on.
He opened up synagogues and schools in his kingdom of 800,000 square miles and maybe 10 to 20 million people, and they became what we call Jews. There wasn't one of them that ever had an ancestor that ever put a toe in the Holy Land, not alone in Old Testament history, but back to time, the beginning of time. Not one of them. That is the foundation of all the misery that has befallen the world.
The whole thing, the whole Greater Israel plan, it operates on two essential things. It's to survive, Israel must become the imperial regional power, and it must affect the division of the entire area around it into smaller states. They stir up sectarian hatred, they divide the whole place into smaller states, and then all these smaller states are fighting each other, and so that kind of legitimizes Israel's existence, because it appears to be the only stable force in the area when it's the one who's gone and destabilized the whole thing. And what Chris said about the two stripes on the flag, this is exactly right. The Nile and the Euphrates, this is the plan for Greater Israel. And it includes Syria, it includes Jordan, it includes the top of Saudi Arabia, half of Iraq, parts of Lebanon. This has been the plan for the whole time, and this is why they've gone in there and done things the way they have. It's all part of the Greater Israel Project. And even there was another document that was called Israel's Sacred Terrorism. It was written by a man called Livia Rakash. And it's based on the memoirs of Moshe Sharett, former Prime Minister of Israel. And it basically outlines the 1978 invasion of Lebanon to a T. It's exactly what they did, and it's kind of a smaller, condensed version of this Yinon plan. And the Yinon plan was also outlined by, way back as far as Theodore Herzl. I mean, this has been going on for a long time.
This scenario is borne out by none other than Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion, one of the great founders of Israel. Recorded in an astonishing article in Look magazine, Ben-Gurion predicted that a one-world system presided over by Jerusalem will be set up in the near future. All continents will become united in a world alliance, at whose disposal will be an international police force. All armies will be abolished, and there will be no more war. In Jerusalem, the United Nations, a truly United Nations, will build a shrine of the prophets to serve the federated union of all continents. This will be the seat of the Supreme Court of mankind, to settle all controversies among the federated continents, as prophesied by Isaiah.
What we're dealing with here, like when you look at the whole Khazar Empire, that's who these people are. They're Khazars, and they've basically hijacked everything. They've infiltrated into Christianity, they've infiltrated into Judaism, they've probably even infiltrated into Islam. infiltrated into everything. This is where you've got Christian Zionists, you've got Jewish Zionists, you've got this whole sort of mottled empire that's sort of all over the world. It's infiltrated everywhere. And they're using basically what's outlined, the supremacist ideology that's outlined in the Jewish faith. They're using this to construct their New World Order. And these people believe they're the chosen people. These Khazars are more zealous about following these ideologies than the actual Jews are, but none of them actually believe in God. They're creating this whole tense situation everywhere to break everything up, to collapse everything, collapse all the economies, collapse Europe, collapse Russia, collapse everything, and create this empire of chaos with this one bastion of control in the middle, which will be Greater Israel. That's the plan. But it's run by the Khazars. And I would suggest that even the British royal family are probably related to these Khazars in some way. I mean, it all seems to go back to this empire. All the research that I've done over the years, going back through Hebrew lines and going back looking at what happened in Egypt and so many things, this Khazar history is the most hidden history and the most repressed history anywhere. You know, it's all about merging all of the races on the planet together. This is why we've got such an infiltration of foreign races into Europe at the moment, which is all being run by Jewish advisors to all of these countries. You know? And it's weird. You say to stuff, oh, you're blaming the Jews for everything, you're anti-Semitic. Well, hang on, I'm just looking at the situation, and you look and you go, well, these people, they just happen to all be Jews. Is this a coincidence? And then you look at the Greater Israel plan, and you look at the whole doctrine of the Jews as God's chosen and the and you say, well, here it all is. And Sisi, he's serving British and Israeli interests like to a T. He's doing just as bad, even more damage to Gaza than Israel, because these are Arab brothers. These should be supporting these people. And he's closed all the borders off, like you say, he's bulldozed all those homes. He's even thinking of digging a moat, as I was saying before, along the, so they can't possibly dig any tunnels because they'd have the weight of water above them. There's no way they'd be able to do any smugglers' tunnels. Like I said, they're turning Gaza into a super maximum prison. It's being done right in front of the rest of the world. So Sisi is absolutely serving their interests. But, I mean, Bashar Assad, I mean, I don't think he was installed. I think he was kind of a reluctant leader. He came to power and didn't really want to have the position that he's got. And his country's been devastated because he wouldn't bow to the Zionist control system. I mean, this whole ISIS thing, I mean, ISIS is sprung out of nowhere exactly when Israel needed it. It's paved the way for Western intervention to go and carpet bomb the whole Arab world. So, I mean, who's controlling this? They're saying they're Muslim extremists. They're not Muslim extremists at all. They're killing Muslim people. They're killing women and children, all of these things that are banned by the Quran. They say if you do this, then you go to hell for all eternity. So obviously they're not religious extremists. They're just extremists. I mean, I would suggest that ISIS probably stands for Israeli's Secret Intelligence Services. It's just a new boogeyman because bin Laden had run out of steam, Al-Qaeda had run out of steam. But ultimately, it's all a product of the West anyway. These are the same people that they had in Libya, the same people in Syria.
Follow the leads, put the troops in, and play this. Look, ISIS got started through funding from our friends and allies.
So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
think they definitely use Britain as part of their control mechanism. Obviously, the whole London, Vatican, they've utilized all parts of the world. I talked about this with Iran a long time ago. Iran's oil companies were run by Britain, and their leader wanted to make it so they ran their own oil again. And it's about that time, decades and decades ago, British military went in and they asked the Secret Service to join. And I think we've controlled Iran since then. And I think we'll use it for something. Of course, at this rate, Ukraine might get destroyed first. Maybe they've evacuated. I don't know. Reminds me of that conversation we once had. To make the world a infinitely better place, if you had to destroy a city to do it, would it be worth it? I suppose there's a lot of factors to that, but I don't know. You know, they can make their the plan all they want, but no matter what they plan can cross God's plan. And so whatever God's got planned is definitely gonna be. And that's really the main thing to worry about. A lot of stuff we do on social media is a lot of spending time critiquing and judging and criticizing. We could really make ourselves better people. Everybody can stand to improve a tiny bit. And that's the kind of stuff I hope we think about, because the world is already changing. The stuff we've been waiting for is already happening. It's happening all around us daily. It is. It's not a matter of when's it going to happen, when's the end. It is already. You're living it. And every word that comes out of your mouth, every action you take has an impact, affects the world. It's important that we consider the kind of people we want to be now. The younger generations, they've got an interesting world ahead of them. But they do have us. That's good. It helps your brain, Max. Yeah, you know, it's... Sometimes you just got to get out of your brain a little bit. Sometimes we need in our brains a little bit more. It's a difficult task to walk away from all the worldly crap around us, to trade in a cell phone conversation and yada yada videos for a walk through the nature park. It's important to get out there and interact with the world again. We've been put in a box so long, and now we're like within a box within a box. And you got to break that level of control. I know we've debated a lot the past year about what's real, this, that, and all that. At the end of the day, a lot of it doesn't really matter. And I remember the time that, you know, Juan was kind of talking about that. People were asking some silly questions at the time. Serious things were happening, and people were like, what's going on in Antarctica? It wasn't very relevant to the situation. It's a complicated one, and it makes you wonder the level of control they do have. But this AI situation, that's a whole new level of worrisome stuff to think about. What if it's already too late to stop AI? It may, if it can really find ways to prevent itself from being shut down, and we continue to live in a world where everything's computerized, you'd end up in those houses where you can't even open the door because you don't have the... I don't know. Sometimes I hope we go backwards a little bit, but that's not going to happen. Even if we go backwards economically, or what people talk about, like 1950s prices. We are changing fast. We're really at the dawn of a new age, and it's a weird moment to live in. Not many generations live on the brink of changing from one age to another age. It's an exciting time we're living in. And God will have his say, no matter what anybody's plans are. You can always bank on that and count on that much. So, on a good side of things, I do think we're much further ahead than everything says. I don't know who's the right person to listen to on all that, but I think it's sort of a conundrum that we have it in our heads that we have to look at everything like it's in retrospect. I wonder, when they were coming up with the plan, how they thought they would counter all that, because they have to give us some knowledge and information, but once you have knowledge of the plan or the operation, it's like, what's the best way to go about it? To just go right on along with it, or to just go right on with the reality that is real now? We're literally creating the new reality around us. It's hard to even fathom. We're putting it all into reality, though. It's all you, it's all us, and that's it. I can't wait to find out some of the things we're going to find out. But it'll happen when it's meant to happen. I feel like we're in a good place right now, but I still think things will look worse before they get better. That's all of the news feels like now. You really question if half the stuff you're watching is real. It's like it's just all fake numbers and fake names and fake stories, and it's messed up. I don't know, but I love spending time here with you guys and trying to learn together. I still would like to put together some more comprehensive videos, but right now I just enjoy being live here with you guys every night and having a little forum here where we can discuss this stuff to get it out. A lot of us have neighbors and family members that don't want to hear it, or that get sick of hearing it, or get pissy about it, and there's nowhere to talk to people about it. We're still in a weird place. Even people that are on this side of things, I tried to tell people about Trump's post the other day, and some people just didn't get it. They were just kind of laughing at it like, oh, you can't believe everything you see. Yeah, but where do you draw that line at? Your president's trying to tell you something directly. And that's partially what makes me wonder if those people will ever believe it. But I do think we're at a point where those lines have been clearly drawn, that the people who are going to believe it are going to believe it, and the people who aren't, and I think whatever we're doing now is taking a new step towards the end of this movie, hopefully. I do think soon enough we will have a new world of technology around us and energy, of health, care, medicine, literally every aspect of the world needs fixed, and it needs people like you. You ever thought about running for office in your town? Everywhere they need people. Get busy in your towns. Of course, if we do get to a Jasara type thing, I don't know if I'd stay in the town I'm in. I would probably move. So there's that. But maybe I'll come live by you. Could you stop rocking the chair, puppy? Jeez. Sometimes you're happy. Hey, Ace, I haven't seen you in a while. Sometimes you're happy. Yeah, sometimes I'm sad. I try and be as happy as much as possible and look on the bright side. Like when the cat got hit by the car last night, I was down about it and wasn't much I could do. I buried him and said a prayer, and I know that the things that happen for a reason. The suffering we go through will make you stronger. It'll harden you, but it'll teach you something. If you're always making the best of the situation, you'll always learn something from every experience you have, every moment of your life. Well, I guess Lewis Herms beat you to it, Max. Lewis Herms is going to run for governor of California, and I think that's awesome. And if I lived in California, I'd vote for him. I know how bad we need someone here in Illinois. Speaking of Illinois, I should probably point out a couple things here that I forgot about. If I can find it. Remember what it was about. Something to do with our National Weather Service is going down here in Illinois for a little while, for a couple days through tomorrow. Only is relevant if you live in Illinois, I guess, but we have been having storms lately, so might be something to pay attention to. And then, let's see, this teacher in Indiana sparked some controversy by taking a picture in front of the White House with an 8647 on her shirt. Is this going to last forever? Is this forever? I mean, you got to do the right thing here. About free speech, and it's, at the end of the day, a bunch of digits. I don't know how long we can push this, whatever they push with it. But that's Comey's doing. I can't wait till they're all in jail. Like on the official level. I don't know. I kind of wonder. There's some interesting things happening. I mean, Trump's getting hammered kind of hard lately. People are not happy about the big, beautiful bill. But what can you even say about that? As much as he's accomplished in 100-some days, can you really be frustrated? I mean, obviously you can, because I get frustrated all the time about it, but life goes on around us. I think all of us will have a new look on life when this is over, and we'll possibly find different versions of ourselves. What kind of projects will we take on when the rat race changes? And will it take time? You know, we were talking about the factories the other day. Getting business back here in America is a big deal, and I know they're trying to fast track some of these factories by setting up in buildings that are already there and trying to get started as quick as they can. There could be all kinds of things going on, I hope. I mean, it should be taken off as tariff money comes in and construction projects begin. How do you wake someone up who refuses to listen to any of it? That's easy. You find out what makes them tick, Gingeroo. What kind of person are they? What do they love in the world? You start with that. Once you know what kind of person they are, you know what kind of conversation and what kinds of things are going to strike them. Maybe they're an animal lover and you can tie in something with that. Or you can, you know, you can always find some aspect of this to bring up, to put doubt into them. And I'm not saying that's your goal, but you're trying to open their eyes. You want to present them with things to make them question what they think they know. You got to throw logic their way, and people don't always want to look for logic within what has always been labeled as conspiracy. People feel like they're going to be laughed at or bunched into some kind of tinfoil conspiracy group, you know. We've all got different beliefs right now, completely different beliefs, but the world goes forward. We're a changing world now. We're moving forward, and we got to make it work. When do you guys think the Russian retaliation is coming? As I imagine it's coming, something. You know Putin's not going to put up with all the shit that just happened. Who was it the other day who was talking about it again? We're going to have a Cuban Missile-like standoff, is how Juan and these other guys were putting it again the other day. So what does that mean? Like a nuclear standoff, we're all going to be at each other's throats about something. They've got to have an excuse to do that. And then I suppose something else big will happen that rocks the world and makes us forget. And then afterwards, after we all sing Kumbaya, we'll sit down and sign some kind of worldwide agreement. And then we'll have a new world order. Because no matter what you want to call it, whether it's negative or positive, it is a new order to the world of a sense. I'm not saying that's a bad thing again. We always think of the new world order, not a new world order. The order always changes. That's just the way the world goes. I found that video in the intro fascinating, though, about the guy that was killed in the helicopter that went down in the ocean and found the place that looked like another entrance to water. You think the universe is just like water everywhere, water above, water below? That there's domes in the ocean with societies that live there that don't know about us up here, and then above us there's societies that live in that ocean and domes, and then we all, I don't know. I really don't know what to make of all that stuff sometimes, but I do my best and try and find the things that go together. I really want to learn more about this Lincoln Coluni Drews story that we learned a lot about in what was the movie we watched? Why did I forget? Oh, the Jesus Strand. Yeah. The Lincoln Coluni Drews minority bloodline, the Jesus Strand. Do you remember when Q made numerous biblical references and specifically mentioned to follow the bloodlines? The reason these are biblical times is because we are in the midst of an irregular spiritual, psychological, information-based bloodline war where God wins in the end. The bloodlines engaged in this warfare are the interbred and intermarried fake Jewish Khazarian mafia, Illuminati Jesuit bloodlines, whom seek to exterminate the remaining Druze ethnic bloodlines, about 800,000 to 2 million people, from the earth, as they share the same scientifically proven DNA as Jesus Christ. Speaking of biblical times, this brings our attention to the intentionally lost book of Q, the Gospel of Q, which are the direct teachings of Jesus Christ, believed to be one of the original Gospels. The book Q consists of 6,236 verses. This is very similar to the intentional exclusion of the book of Enoch, or the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, from the Bible, and the removal and reinstallation of the book of Revelation. The reason the Q Gospel and many other books with hidden teachings were intentionally removed from the Bible is due to the constant Freemasonic, Illuminati, Jesuit, Vatican editing, mistranslating, and restructuring of the Bible. This is to hide specific spiritual teachings relating to ascension, karmic debt, natural cures, remedies, reincarnation, the third eye, the pineal gland, vibrational frequency, etc., where the Bible was censored from 777 original books all the way down to 66, their favorite Luciferian number, of course. Many people hid these sacred spiritual books to preserve for future generations, since they were forbidden from the modern 1611 edition King James Freemason Bible. And if you opened the website I showed you and clicked on the Lincoln Coluni Drews bloodline stuff, they have a couple different PDFs here. One's the Lost Gospel, the Book of Q, and Christian Origins. The other is Q, the Earliest Gospel, an Introduction to the Original Stories and Sayings of Jesus. Pretty cool stuff. King James VI of Scotland, later King James I of England, is often held responsible for the Freemasonification of the Bible. He ordered that the Masonic structure be given leadership and organization. He made a senior Mason named William Shaw his general warden of the craft and instructed him to revamp the entire structure of Freemasonry, including the Bible, which he commenced on December 28th of 1598. To this day, the King James 1611 edition of the Bible remains the standard Freemason Bible and is the edition conventionally used in secret Masonic temple rituals. You guys still following? Okay, I'm going to go a little further into this. Who is Patrick Lincoln Coluni? This brings our attention to the point in the story where we introduce the main source of this information, Patrick Lincoln Coluni, a.k.a. Patrick Bouvier Kennedy, the brother of John Fitzgerald Lincoln Coluni Kennedy Jr., who allegedly died at age 39, or who died 39 hours after his birth. Okay, they're talking about the one that allegedly died. See, I get this confused too. They have a picture here. I suppose I should show this if I can. I don't know. I find this story fascinating. I've been really wanting to learn a lot more about it. So far, the best source of information is the movie, The Jesus Strand, Part 1 and 2. But, oh, why do they make it so I can't? Just want to share my page. Just want to share the window. If not, I'll keep reading. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing there. Anyway. His official Twitter account says it hosts a never-before-seen photo of him where he's clearly several years old and not dead 39 hours after birth, which is the mainstream accepted narrative. He's a well-educated engineer and historian. The following photo is a highly publicized photo of John Kennedy and Carolyn Bessette, observed in various mainstream publications. Directly to the right is the gentleman who is believed to be Patrick Lincoln. Let me see if I can bring this up for you guys. Doesn't help if I can't bring it up. All right. Stay with me. It's a fascinating story. What's the matter? Albert Pike rewrote all Masonic ritual change Grandmaster. Yeah, I think they all rewrote a bunch of stuff. So what they're saying is the guy right over Carolyn Bessette's shoulder is the other brother making their forgotten Kennedy brother. But that goes the same with the Abraham Lincoln story too. I might be able to bring this up a little bigger for you. If that helps. There you go. This is supposed to be John Kennedy Jr.'s brother. As the story goes. In the following tweet, in the comments, you'll see that he was asked on November 2nd, 2019, if he was the soul and spirit of Patrick Bouvier Kennedy, and he replied on December 22nd, stating, I am PBK himself. Yeah, it's just a post. Oh, this is interesting. Patrick Kennedy has also played multiple roles in the White Hat movie we've all been watching, including Michael Brian Protzman, aka Negative 48, and 55th U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Notice the facial similarities. Let me put up this picture. Such a weird story, isn't it? I don't know. It's fascinating. The story goes back to Lincoln, though, and Lincoln sending his sons overseas when things were getting bad. So it's negative 48 in the middle. Kevin McCarthy on the right. And the alleged Patrick Kennedy on the far left. Interesting story. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of the story? Zionist, Jesuit, Khazarian Mafia. Patrick then introduces his readers to the evil Roman papal black nobility bloodlines whom interbred and intermarried with the fake Jewish, Khazarian, Illuminati, reptilian, humanoid, hybrid bloodlines. These are the very bloodlines that are responsible for censoring and removing Gospels from the Bible, followed by attempting to exterminate the entire Druze ethnic bloodline via the Holocaust of the descendants of Jesus Christ, which happened between 1911 and 1943 in Libya, where hundreds of thousands of Libyans were murdered in concentration camps in Libya and military prisons in Italy. In 1912, thousands of Libyans were shipped and murdered in Gaeta military prison. This genocide of Druze ethnic descendants of Christ continues to this day with the ongoing Armenian genocide perpetrated by Azerbaijan, Israel, and Turkey, all of which are infiltrated, controlled, and funded by the Khazarian mafia to take over Armenia, known as the land of Noah, and exterminate its remaining Druze ethnic people. This ideology is often referred to as Turanianism or Pan-Turkism, which developed as a social and political nationalist ideology, a movement that emphasizes the common ethnic, cultural, and linguistic roots of Turkic Muslim peoples living across Eurasia, stemming from the Khazarian Ottoman Empire. The 13 evil Roman bloodline families are all one huge family who are always changing their last names to keep the conspiracy hidden and to avoid public scrutiny. On the other side, the good bloodline families are changing their last names to avoid extermination. It's a war of good versus evil. It's a blood war, a bloodline war, and you're caught in the middle of it. Aldo Brandini, Borgia, Breakspear, Chigi, Colonna, Conti, Este, Farnese, Medici, Orsini, Pallavicini, Pamphili, Samaglia. The 13 families that you think rule the world and the actual families that rule the world. It's weird because the bloodlines they put in there, I think they're telling you they've all changed their names from the actual bloodlines, and that includes the Astor bloodline, the Bundy bloodline, Collins, DuPont, Freeman, Kennedy, Lee, Onassis, Reynolds, Rockefeller, Rothschild, Russell, and Von Doyne, which I know you've seen a lot of before. These papal black nobility Illuminati bloodlines are also known as the Khazarian Mafia, which is the exact criminal Luciferian syndicate that founded ISIS, or the Israeli secret intelligence service, the Mossad, in 1855 after formation by the kings of Morocco and Libya. They promptly signed into law the Mohammadi law, the Muhammadiyah Sharia law, which was established to kill the bloodline of Jesus Christ. More than 100 families representatives met in Osman Mosque Municipality Square in Benghazi, Libya, to start teaching false Mohammadi law in order to target Ibrahim Khalil Kaluni's family and the bloodline descendants of Jesus. This law enforced a halt to any teachings having to do with Jesus Christ. In the USA, on July 25th of 1861, ISIS merged with the Skull and Bones, the Rothschilds, the Schiffs, the Rockefellers, the Scherfs, aka Bushes, the Kissingers, etc. The UK royals, artificially inseminated by the Rothschilds, had taken control of the satanic Senussi Hassan family of Libya. Skull and Bones and ISIS were responsible for the assassination of JFK, or his body double. I now bet it makes a lot more sense as to why the Zionist Khazarian Mafia deep state insists on using the fraudulent DNA PCR test for COVID several months into the genocidal mRNA nanotech operating system depopulation injection program as they are looking for the remaining Druze Christ bloodline descendants on Earth so they can wipe you out. 1855, ISIS established. 1861, they merged with Skull and Bones. 1870 through 1930, Big Pharma was established by them. 1871, the Act of England, the secret constitution implemented by the Mafia. 1912, the planned Titanic Olympic sinking. 1913, the Federal Reserve. 1917 through 23, the Bolshevik Revolution. They tore apart Russia as well. Operation Paperclip, 45 through 59. Operation Mockingbird. 1948, Israel's established. The Zionist Khazarian Bolshevik government. 1949, Mossad and the CIA both established, working for the Khazarian Mafia. In Q drop 2604, we see Q mention Avoided Z, which is a reference to the Zionists of Israel, the Khazarian Mafia's followers. As Q is similarly mentioned in drop 916 that Israel is being saved for last, as it will expose everything the Khazarian Mafia is responsible for, from politics to the genocidal pharmaceutical system. JFK Jr. even has a tattoo on his right arm representing the Z unit, the Special Operations Executive emblem, which accurately reflects his battle as a Druze bloodline Christ descendant against the Zionist Khazarian Mafia. What do you guys think so far? Is anybody still watching? Oh yeah, you guys are still here. I didn't catch what you're talking about, Evangelina, but I forgot the pictures were on screen. It's an interesting story, and I wish there was more than just the Jesus Strand movie, but the Luciferian fake Jewish Ashkenazi Khazarian Mafia and the Synagogue of Satan would like the world to believe that Jews are the only real Israelites. They cloak themselves with the Jewish religion to hide their rituals, black magic, Kabbalah, and witchcraft, and true Babylonian, Canaanite, Luciferian, satanic roots, worshiping Luciferian deities like Baal, Baphomet, Beelzebub, Hades, Lucifer, Moloch, Satan, and the devil. They invented the term anti-Semitic to discredit any claim that attempts to expose the fake Jews, false Israelites, or the Mafia. People from Israel claiming to be God's chosen people are in actuality false Israelites that descend from Canaan, Ashkenaz, Ishmael, and Esau. Let's see if I can share the map here. It's kind of big, but might be able to get it up here. It's like a family tree of the bloodline, sort of. Such a fascinating story. I don't know if you guys can see it. The 12 tribes of Israel. From Adam, Seth, then down to Noah. You got Canaan in there. They're the bloodline of Canaan, Ashkenaz, Esau, the Canaanites. And then you got the 12 tribes of Israel on the right there. I'll leave that up. As I read on, the targets: Abraham Lincoln, Edward Lincoln, William Wallace Lincoln, Thomas Lincoln, Joe Kennedy, George Patton, John Kennedy, John F. Kennedy Jr., Patrick Kennedy, Donald Trump, Lucian Lincoln Wood Jr., Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, Barron Trump. This is interesting from Lynn Wood. My alma mater, Mercer Law School, turned on me. I've suffered politically motivated attacks on my law license and my previously pristine record of professionalism. Been threatened by others to take efforts to have me jailed and prosecuted for a rhetorical, hyperbolic post about Mike Pence. No client had abandoned me, but I expect Nicholas Sandmann may do so, as he may be feeling the pressure from members of Mitch McConnell's team, on which Nicholas worked this election cycle. I've had serious threats of harm and death made against me. I wonder how Lynn Wood connects to this. Says, I will not stop fighting for we the people, for honest elections, for freedom, and for the hundreds of thousands of little children who are being abused, molested, sacrificed for demonic pleasure, and for or against the evil people in the world, including leaders in our government. Okay. The Jews and Armenians from Golan Heights, Israel, are known as the Druze ethnicity, which are the bloodline descendants of Jesus Christ. They're also known as the descendants of Jethro, the priests of Midian in the Bible and Torah. The descendants of Jesus Christ are believed to have the second rarest, following type Rh of the blood types, AB negative, which has a 0.36% worldwide distribution. 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, descendants from the Druze ethnicity Kaluni family. So, it is one of the rarest blood types. You got, looks like O positive is the most common, A positive. I think we've been through that stuff before. Anyway, moving on here. The Jesus Strand, to search for DNA, that TV movie from 2017, used advanced modern-day Oxford University DNA technology that did not exist in the past to examine artifacts and relics, particularly from a famous shroud with the actual blood of Christ, to identify evidence to prove the very DNA of Jesus, which will help identify his descendants, whom are of the Druze ethnicity. Below is a snippet clip of the full movie. Well, we've seen it here. Maybe one of you guys are a descendant. You wouldn't even know. Following related multiple-hour two-part series, The Jesus Strand, which can be found on the Sacred Blue Tent YouTube channel. I didn't know the Sacred Blue Tent had a YouTube channel. That's pretty cool. It features Bryce, Sabrina Gal, -48 in Toronto. A third installment has been forecasted. Will likely come equipped with new information. That'd be cool. They put out a part 3. Due to all this information coming out, naturally circulating online across various social platforms that allow free speech, MSNBC agent Ali Velshi on November 8, 2021 did his own spin on the information in an attempt to discredit and mock it. It's honestly not that far off, which was surprising. And we've seen that before as well. Let's see if I can bring this picture with the map up for you guys. Give you a small idea of the bloodline. Part of the bloodline. Put that up. I don't know if that's hard, if you can tell who all's on there or not. All right. Keep reading here. William Wallace Lincoln, born 1850, is the son of Abraham Lincoln, who was transferred to Libya in 1863 at the age of 13. Now, this is really where this story begins. For safety, he's changed his identity to the name Omar Mukhtar and was raised by the Senussi royal family of Libya for protection and lived in the country for the rest of his life as he worked on accomplishing higher sacred purposes. He was the great freedom fighter who fought against the Italian military invasion of Libya from 1911 until his arrest near the Caves Valley, 180 kilometers east of Benghazi, on Friday, September 11th of 1931. They betrayed him due to Italy's sudden invasion of Libya. The Rothschild family had lured the USA into World War I, and the royal Senussi family collaborated with Italy in 1918. By 1923, William Wallace Lincoln realized that he had been betrayed and fled to the Green Mountain in order to defend the Holy Land. His arrest took place while he defended the holy valleys of Mark the Evangelist, the Valley of the Bible, and the Lake of Mary in the area of Cyrene, 280 kilometers east of Benghazi. He was transferred to stand trial on Tuesday, September 15th of 1931, in a trial held by the Italian military court in Benghazi, where, within the one day, he was sentenced to death. He was hanged the following day in Suluk City, 50 kilometers south of Benghazi, on the east coast of Libya, September 16th, 1931, at the age of 81. On September of 1931, the day after his execution, the Italians, the Roman papal black nobility, committed one of the greatest crimes against humanity, killing thousands of his followers, which was nothing but pure genocide. The result is that the freedom fighters in the world, or the result that William Wallace Lincoln / Omar Mukhtar is considered to this day the father of all freedom fighters in the world. The Libyan government confirmed to Patrick that the bones of William Wallace Lincoln had been sent to the United States. Mustafa Akkad's 1980 film Lion of the Desert tells the tale of Omar Mukhtar, portrayed by Anthony Quinn, and General Rodolfo Graziani, portrayed by Oliver Reed. William Wallace Lincoln had 3 daughters, Mary, Gallia, and Saida, and one son who was shot in the head and killed by the Italian military police in downtown Benghazi in 1942. Mary married Prince Said Isa Kaluni from the Golan Heights, whom was born in the Orchards Mount Lebanon Governorate, Lebanese Republic. He arrived at the port of Derna, Libya, in March of 1911, coming from the port of Beirut. His family comes from the cities of Quanatara and Majal Shams in the Golan Heights, and is well known in Lebanon and Israel. The name Isa means Jesus is in Jesus Christ. The city of Kalunia in the Lebanese mountain range is located at 45 kilometers southeast of Beirut. Mary Lincoln and Prince Said Kaluni had 2 sons together, Joseph Patrick Lincoln Kaluni, a.k.a. Joseph Patrick Kennedy, Jr., born July 25th of 1915, and John Fitzgerald Lincoln Kaluni, a.k.a. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, born May 29th, 1917. John Lincoln Kaluni was kidnapped at an early age from Benghazi and surrendered to the Khazarian mafia leader Joseph Kennedy in the USA, both of which were targeted for assassination by the Khazarian mafia, resulting in John Fitzgerald Lincoln Kaluni's body double, who was believed to be Officer J.D. Tippit, being assassinated on November 22nd, 1963, in Dallas, Texas, and Joseph Patrick Lincoln Kaluni Jr.'s assassination on Saturday, August 12th, 1944, at the age of 29. Mary Lincoln was born in 1890 in Benghazi, and she died on October 5th of 1962. at the age of 72. On Saturday, September 12, 1914, Prince Saeed Kaluni appeared before the Italian military court in Benghazi. The following image demonstrates JFK alongside his body double. Oh, we've seen that before. Let's see. Furthermore, the following image and video from Daily Mail showcases JFK Sr. disguised as a World War II veteran named Russell Pickett. Let's take a look at this picture. See what you think. Because they've been saying that John F. Kennedy faked his death for a long time. Could it be? And if so, is this what he would look like now? Or whenever this was done, I guess. Fascinating, isn't it? All right. Keep reading. On August 7, 1963, Patrick Lincoln Kaluni, a.k.a. Patrick Bouvier Kennedy, was born and is married to his wife, Ellen, with their two sons, Zachariah and Haizam, in Benghazi, Libya. Their life in Libya is far from easy, as they all remain targets of the deep state, Zionist, Jesuit, Khazarian mafia cabal. In fact, all Luciferian leaders of the Middle East and the rest of the world know exactly who Patrick Lincoln Kaluni / Patrick Bouvier Kennedy is. He has been beaten mercilessly since 2008, when Illuminati Khazar Barack Hussein Obama Hitler Rothschild came to power as the 44th president of the USA. However, it seems that the continued blows make Patrick stronger and more decisive in terms of the continuation of the fight. As he characteristically says, it is a constant war which I can manage. Over the past few years, Patrick has provided us with plenty of information and confirmations relating to his family tree connections of the Kaluni Lincoln Druze ethnicity via the following important tweets I have collected and archived. Well, Abraham Lincoln quotes, I'm a firm believer in the people. He calls Abraham Lincoln his great-great-grandfather. Yeah. That would be right. For being Patrick Bouvier Kennedy 777, my father is JFK and my great-grandfather is William Wallace Lincoln 777. I was born on the 17th day in 2 calendars and on the 7th day in the other calendar. Made me the target to all the Satanists, Freemasons of the world. Never give up the fight. They're slaves too. All right, moving on here. Through these. And there is a couple of these pictures, which I think we've shared on the channel before, but I think they're worth seeing again. That will show you why people believe Junior's alive. This one I've shared before from February of 2020 in Las Vegas. believed to be John Kennedy Jr. on the left. And then this is a collage of pictures. So there's that. Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and John Fitzgerald Kennedy had 3 secret children via surrogate mother Arabella Lincoln Clooney, aka Arabella Kennedy, including Kaylee Lincoln Clooney, aka Kaylee McEnany, Joshua Blake Lincoln Clooney, aka Josh Blake Kennedy, and Ezra Asa Lincoln Clooney, aka Ezra Cohen Watnick. Interesting. And there's some pictures here I will show you. I don't know who all these people are. It's an interesting story, and you never know if all of it's real, parts of it are real, any of it real. But it's fascinating. And I wish there were people that we could ask about this, you know, if people would do some interviews with me. Ezra Cohen Watnick appeared in a YouTube video with JFK's grandchildren and mentioned JFK in his first major speech after being appointed the Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Pentagon. He does kind of look like a Kennedy. In case you guys aren't familiar with him, I'll share his picture too. And that's Ezra Cohen. All right. Moving down. They also claim, you know, Elvis Presley and Julian Assange. See, Jesse Presley is Elvis Presley's grandfather. John G. Trump is Donald Trump's uncle. Using the Howard Hughes Nikola Tesla time machine invented in the Nevada desert, it's believed that Jesse Presley is John G. Trump. Huh? Therefore, Julian Assange is Donald Trump's cousin. I've heard that before, but... And I'm to the bottom. Additional resources. Bloodline of Christ, Lincoln, Kennedy, and Trump. Prime Minister, prophecy updated, JFK Jr. returns. There's a whole list of more resources at the bottom of the page. I'm in love with this website, guys. I highly, highly, highly recommend you spend some time on this website. I'll put it up again because you might have missed it. That's not it. That's not it. I will find it. There it is. Or you can use your telephone camera, your cell phone, click the green thing on the right. Top left, link-tube.com/Operation Q. There is a lot of stuff in there. I could spend hours and hours. I almost got caught off guard today getting in there too. It distracted me for a good hour and a half. And lucky I got anything done tonight. All right, guys. So I think that's all I've got for you tonight. I will make sure We talked about the fifth plane, Xarian Mafia. Couple videos I didn't get to. One is one that somebody had made on Telegram. Said it's supposed to be good. The shocking truth about UFOs. Another documentary, History of the U.S. Empire, JFK, Cold War, European colonialism, and the Bay of Pigs. I should show you this real quick. People on the left are starting to they're starting to make excuses about the missing children, that are missing.
But in some zip
border.
codes, less than 10% of the children went to family members. This is unacceptable. When I raised my hand to help the Biden administration with this crisis, I believed I was going to help place children in loving homes. I had no idea that we were sending children to criminals, to traffickers, and to members of transnational criminal organizations. So the Biden-Harris failed open border policy allowed bad actors into the country. Transnational criminal organizations, foreign terrorist organizations, MS-13, 18th Street Gang, and we know they are sponsors of children.
I didn't know anything was going on. How could I have known? Yeah. And another story I forgot about, the LGBTQ community's upset with Pete Hegseth for ordering the changing of the name of the Harvey Milk.
Navy ship named after San Francisco gay rights activist and politician Harvey Milk may get a new name under orders from the Secretary of Defense.
Pete Hegseth told the Navy today to change the name of USNS Harvey Milk. ABC 7 News reporter Luz Pena spoke to one of Milk's closest friends about what some are calling a targeted decision. Luz.
Yes, Emma and Dan, this announcement was part of an internal memo. The Pentagon's chief spokesperson later confirming that any potential renamings will be announced after internal reviews are completed. Yet many are pointing to the timing of this announcement as intentional. Pride Month started June 1st. After 9 years as the USNS Harvey Milk, the U.S. Navy has received orders to remove the gay rights activist name from the ship, a blow for the LGBTQ plus community.
Harvey Milk was a hero. He was a veteran who then died for our community, and we are all so proud of him. And for years, LGBTQ veterans worked towards this renaming, and it was such a moment of pride and joy for our community.
Milk served 4 years in the Navy before he was forced out for being gay. After that, in 1977, Milk made history, becoming one of the first openly gay men elected to public office, 11 months after being sworn in as a San Francisco supervisor.
San Francisco's gonna have hell to pay. Couple other stories that are popping up I wanted to talk about real quick. This from MJ. Something has to give. I hate to say it, but the largest mass deportation operation in history, unless something drastic changes, looks grim. A very conservative number of illegal aliens that came into America illegally under Biden is around 12 million. Prior to Biden, we already had an estimated 8 to 10. We're already 135 days into the first year of Trump's term. Half the year is almost gone. In order to deport 12 million people, we would have to deport 3 million illegals per year. It's 250,000 per month, and we're nowhere near that. I had talked about that a while back, how the numbers didn't add up, but that was the numbers they were talking about because they had claimed they had already arrested like so many tens of thousands. And I was like, you'd have to arrest like 1,000 people a day or something like that. So what I personally think is the 12 million people did not come into the country during that military operation that the White Hats were running. I could be wrong. I mean, I know we've seen people crossing the border, obviously, these caravans, but you really think 12 million people will strolled on in during that 4-year time period? I don't know. Could be, but could also be smoke and mirrors, guys. So you got to remember that side of things too. Thought I'd mention that. Let's see if anything else coming up. 2 years ago, 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate disappeared from a rail shipment from Wyoming to California, and as of today, it still has not been recovered, and officials have no idea where it went. 30 tons of explosives were stolen from a train 2 years ago. How the hell does that happen? How does any person make off with 60,000 pounds? You don't just hijack a train and walk off with 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate. Sounds a little bit professional. Elon Musk put up a post. Interest payments already consume 25% of all government revenue. If the massive deficit spending continues, there will only be money for interest payments and nothing else. No Social Security, no medical, no defense, no nothing. People are saying our annual U.S. budget deficit is going to be over $2 trillion per year moving forward with this new spending strategy, I guess. Doesn't sound like much of a strategy. President Trump made a new announcement. Let's take a look at the video, shall we? If I can pull it up.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them. In the 21st century, we've seen one terror attack after another carried out by foreign visa overstayers from dangerous places all over the world. And thanks to Biden's open door policies, today there are millions and millions of these illegals who should not be in our country. In my first term, my powerful travel restrictions were one of our most successful policies, and they were a key part of preventing major foreign terror attacks on American soil. We will not let what happened in Europe happen to America. That's why on my first day back in office, I directed the Secretary of State to perform a security review of high-risk regions and make recommendations for where restrictions should be imposed. Among the national security threats, their analysis considered are the large-scale presence of terrorists, failure to cooperate on visa security, inability to verify travelers' identities, inadequate record-keeping of criminal histories, and persistently high rates of illegal visa overstays, and other things. Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States. That is why today I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others. The strength of the restrictions we're applying depends on the severity of the threat posed. The list is subject to revision based on whether material improvements are made, and likewise, new countries can be added as threats emerge around the world. But we will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, and nothing will stop us from keeping America safe. Thank you very much.
All right, there's his new travel ban from Yemen, Somalia, other countries of concern after the attack in Boulder. I wanted to show you this post from Derek Johnson today. It's in response to what Elon's saying about the big, beautiful bill and seemingly turning on Trump. Derek says, Elon was a pawn. We tried telling everyone a long time ago. The dude was replaced way back, but normies think all this is conspiracy when the CIA have done this for years. Their swamp games are being turned and played on them. He voted for Obama. He was a liberal pawn, flipped, and was used. I think that's kind of accurate. I think he was a pawn in the sense that he wasn't used. I think he was like helping the government in a bad way and then was replaced and made to help in a good way. I think there's a lot of people replaced. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump's replaced. I know I'm not supposed to go there, but Tesla took a hit on purpose, strategically planned. If only people would study the blueprint, then the pawns would make sense. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Cook, whoever Cook is, also pawns. All were liberals. All were against Trump. All met with President Trump and donated inauguration 2025. The dash matters. I get it. I don't know what any of it has to do with the dash, but I mean, we were told about Elon. Juan was told us about that with Elon, but none of them quite go to that level of saying he was replaced or something. But a few of them have. It's supposed to be more than 10,000 per citizen, Miss. That stuff will come. The financial stuff will come, guys. It's all got to come in right timing. What matters more than whatever the dash is, or the dash, is the process. And the process revolves, ties into the dash anyway. It's law and order. It's what we have here in America. And we got to have something that we stand on. You cannot break the laws to make all this work for us. We can't take people out and just execute people. We have to follow law, order, code. Otherwise, this country would be doomed and done for. And we would never be able to put it back together. That's my opinion. All right. Did I miss anything else? I was thinking about playing this video real fast. Whoever made it said it was really good, but you know how that goes. People make stuff, always say it's good. See, there was one more thing I wanted to show, I suppose, because there's a code to it too, supposedly.
Tonight, where authorities are warning that an escaped zebra, you see it right there, remains at large. Take a look there. You can see the zebra casually trotting through a neighborhood and then running by the roadside. The sheriff's office asking anyone with info to call into their tip line.
You gotta be kidding me. I can't find it. Damn it. All right. Moving on. The imposter card. This card permits you to play from your hand a personality, which duplicates one who has been assassinated. You must also spend an action from one group with an alignment in common with the personality. You automatically control the new card. The original personality no longer counts as destroyed for the goals of whoever killed them. It's the the Illuminati game cards or whatever. The imposter card. Got lots of great pictures of Biden. I suppose you guys have seen pretty much all these, so But I know some of you are still dealing with your families, and I don't know. I don't know how people can argue it. Some of these are just too, like, there's no question that there's two different Bidens. So anyway, guys, I think I've gone on long enough. It's been on about 4 hours here, and we've covered some great stuff tonight. I think this is where we'll wrap things up for tonight. Tomorrow, like always, we'll look at the news, talk about what's going on, look at what people are putting out there. Same thing we always do. I'd like to find more on that other Clooney story, but all in good time. If you haven't seen the Jesus Strand, or if you didn't watch it with us, I highly recommend you go and watch it. It's definitely on Rumble. I don't know about YouTube. Might be. And maybe we'll watch it again one night. There's always stuff I'm trying to find. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you being here. God bless you. Xander, good to see you here. We'll have to collaborate on something someday. You know, I mean, you like, like Game of Thrones or something? We'll make some dragon videos, Xander. I don't. The 10%. Oh, the $10. I did not look yet. I will look. The zebra. Yeah, there was a post from Patriot Princess that went with the Escape Zebra post. It was something in Gematria that tied into everything going on and the timing. It was supposed to be a message or something. I swear. Where I put all this crap. I've been trying to get a little better about what I save for the show, because I mean, I used to go through stuff and save like everything I found. We're going to look at this on the show, and we're going to look at that. And I'd have so much crap I couldn't find what I was looking for, like today. Here it is. Here's why it's important. Zebra on the loose equals 180. Near-death experience equals 180. Boom, 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 180. Yeah. So, you never know. There's all kinds of weird signs out there like that, but none of it seems like clear enough that you're going to like get any upcoming messages, but you never know. I don't know. You never know. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining in and hanging out. I'll be on the same time again tomorrow, like always, and I look forward to seeing every one of you guys. Yeah. God be with y'all. Get some rest. Have some fun. Do something positive. Tomorrow is what? Thursday. This week's moving along fast already. I can't believe it. I was thinking about growing a beard again. Growing some hair and a beard. Thank you guys, for real though. I love you guys a lot. I really do. God bless you. Say your prayers tonight. Get in touch with the big dude. It'll change your life, for real. Thursday. WWR. Yeah, you have to show me what you're working on sometimes, Xander. I'm always talking about other projects I'd like to do, but I barely have time to do this some days. I've been at it all day today, just gathering stuff. I have to read everything, the stuff that makes the show, the stuff that doesn't make the show. Go through so much. It's getting very repetitive every day. It's like I go to sleep and then I'm awake again and back at the computer doing this again. Whoa. Zombie. Yeah, I will, Xander. I'm not on Discord much lately, but I will do that. You should get on Telegram. Alrighty, guys. I'm out of here. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good night.
Can you hear me running? Can you hear me running? Can you hear me calling you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me running? Can you hear me running? Can you hear me calling you? Take the children and yourself and hide out in the cellar. By now the fighting will be close at hand. Don't believe the church instead.